This is it now tonight, okay? We can get redemption for both losses tonight, okay? This is our first step tonight. We are the only team that can beat us. Go out there and have a good time tonight, man. Place is going to be rocking. Get after their tails now. Let's go.
We owe them, baby. We owe them.
Jacksonville, Florida, where the temperatures are high and so are the stakes. The AFL season is steaming towards the playoff, and two South Division teams are about to square off, the Tampa Bay Storm and the Jacksonville Sharks. This is the AFL on ESPN. As we take a closer look at the playoff standings at this point, Jacksonville and Tampa Bay very much in the mix and hoping to stay there. If Jacksonville wins tonight, they are in the playoffs at the end of this game. We welcome you into Seabest Field. Troy Clarity alongside Anthony Herron, a pleasure and privilege to bring you this game. And Anthony, with Jacksonville having dropped 2 of their last 3 games to the Tampa Bay Storm, even though Tampa Bay is behind them in the standings, still the stakes very high all the way around for both of these teams.
It's why Seabest Field just came to life behind us, Troy. We've got 2 teams who could potentially be in the championship picture for an Arena Bowl, but also still both eligible to miss the playoffs. The stakes couldn't get any higher.
Let's go underneath the center here and talk about the quarterbacks in this game. First for Tampa Bay, Jason Boltus. The 2 big numbers on him, 88 touchdowns and 20 interceptions.
Those 88 touchdowns are 3rd in the Arena Football League, Troy, and it's why this offense has been so explosive, especially in recent weeks. But those 20 interceptions, largely due to pass protection breakdowns, and his head coach, Lawrence Samuels, said they have to shore that up against this Sharks pass rush.
Meanwhile, for the Sharks, they have Tommy Grady, the 2012 AFL MVP, and he's on point this year again.
In that MVP season, 142 touchdowns thrown by Tommy Grady. He's taking his foot off the throttle for that this season because there's a litany of weapons he has on the outside and in the backfield. This another opportunity for that former MVP to make his way to postseason play.
Let us head downstairs now to the 3rd member of our crew, Mr. Don't Blink himself, Steve Pappan, who has the Tampa Bay quarterback, Jason Boltus.
Yeah, I'm here with Jason Boltus, the quarterback of the Storm. Loud crowd here tonight. This is the 3rd time you've faced Jacksonville, having beaten them twice before. Has your game week preparation been more geared toward your 2 wins or what they've been able to do lately?
Both. I mean, they're a great football team with a lot of talent, but we got to come out here and play Storm football for 60 minutes, and that's our goal tonight.
In the first 2 meetings, your O-line did a tremendous job of keeping you upright. How important is that for you tonight to keep that trend intact?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge for any quarterback. They've done a great job all year. We just got to come out, execute, start fast.
Good luck tonight. Back to you guys, Troy.
Let's take a look at the rules and get everyone up to speed before we get things going here in Jacksonville. 50-yard field, 85 feet wide. If you're looking for punters in this game, not going to find them here. No punting allowed, and 1 wide receiver may be in forward motion before the snap. Just about to get things going. It is Star Wars night here at Seabest Field. Very good crowd on hand here in Jacksonville. You would expect nothing less in a Southern Division matchup between 2 very good teams. Jonathan Haggerty waiting back deep for the Sharks. And we are about set to go here at Seabest Field. Storm, Sharks, enjoy the game. Off the hard net, Haggerty. Upended at about the 7. Big stick made by Tristan Purifoy. And Jacksonville will start 1st and 10, their own 8-yard line.
As Tommy Grady rides onto the field here, we'll look for the differences in quarterback play with the way the position is executed between the 2 signal callers. As Grady has become a more adept quarterback in the Arena Football League. One of the things he's done in recent seasons, Troy, there's a lot more 3-step, getting the football out of his hands quickly. This is his 2nd season calling his own plays in the AFL, and so for him, one of the measures of that is protecting himself.
Here's Ross with the handoff on the first play. Bowling across the 10 and up to the 12. Steady gain of Derek Ross. Pickup of about 3, sets up 2nd down and 7. Ross doing something that not too many teams in the AFL are known for, running the football.
At the fullback position, Derek Ross, the all-time leading rusher in the Arena Football League. He's had more seasons over 600 yards in his career than anyone else. Got an opportunity to be the only player with another 32 touchdown season as well.
Has 30 of them right now. On second down, Grady can't find Tiger Jones, incomplete on the far side. Slightly underthrown there as we take a closer look at the Jacksonville Sharks offense. Derrick Ross has outrushed every other AFL team except one. And meanwhile, Tommy Grady has a fine set of receivers to throw to.
London Crawford being back in the lineup in recent weeks adds a little more speed where you can't just focus on Tiger Jones being the only deep threat in the lineup for Jacksonville.
Third down and 7. Tiger Jones, the motion man, coming into frame here at the bottom of your screen. Grady into the stands, incomplete. Tried to find Jones on the corner route. Let's set the Tampa Bay defense, which has been very steady. They have sent some teams to some season lows earlier this year.
Especially up front, which is where it starts for Lawrence Samuels on that side of the football. The pass rush has cooled off in recent weeks, and so he put a lot of pressure, challenged his defensive line to make an imprint on this game tonight.
Sets up 4th down and 7 for the Sharks. They need to get to their own 18-yard line. Just underway here at Seabest Field, Sharks in the storm. That's Joe Hills in motion. Ready to throw. As Jones out of bounds inside the 15. First down Sharks. And a little shimmy shake from Tiger Jones.
Interesting. Tommy Grady appears to be guiding the football just a little bit early in this game. But here, as he was able to guide the football into the waiting hands of Tiger Jones, an accurate pass, and Jones gets behind the defense.
26 yards on the pickup to Tiger Jones, who leads the AFL coming into this week's action in receiving yardage. Just under 1,800 of them. Jones so dangerous. So is Joe Hills. He's in motion. Grady slings it. Jones can't adjust, incomplete. James Harrell on the coverage, and let's take a look at tonight's Go RVing impact players.
At the nose position for the Tampa Bay Storm, Richard Cleaver has both power and finesse from that position. We've already talked throughout the game about Anthony Tiger Jones. Came in number 2 in the Arena Football League with nearly 1,800 receiving yards. He's had already 12 games this season where he's had over 100 yards in each individual contest.
Had 239 of them against Philadelphia in week 3. That a Storm single game record. London Crawford's the motion man, trips up to the top of your screen. Grady sends this one into the tunnel. Incomplete pass, and the flag is thrown.
The umpire may be getting Rick J. Hill for being out of the box. Might have been too deep.
Automatic first down.
That's Reggie Smith, our referee for tonight. Rick J. Hill, flagged for the penalty. And now the ball spotted at the 6.
It's important to remember when you're ruling the box, if a pump fake comes from the quarterback or any kind of run action in the backfield, that does eliminate the box where both linebackers are allowed to drop deeper and the mat can leave the exterior of the box. Looks like that's what Lawrence Samuels thought may have happened there, but the officials ruled no pump fake from Grady.
One of the nuances of this game. As Grady slings to the end zone. Touchdown Sharks. Joe Hills, his 35th touchdown of the season. And Jacksonville strikes first.
Sharks fans into it early as Joe Hills gets him on the board from the bunch set. He works to the interior of the coverage first and then goes out towards the corner. When you're working that off coverage so tight to your end zone, as long as the timing is on point from the quarterback and the wide receiver, it's so tough to defend.
And so much of this game, especially from the quarterback and the receiver standpoint, is about time. Extra point away and through. And the Sharks strike first. They take a 7-0 lead. We've seen this a lot this year. Tommy Grady to Joe Hills. Grady to Hills to start things off, makes it 7-0. Sharks over the Storm. And right there in the middle of your screen, you can see the head coach of the Jacksonville Sharks, Les Moss, who was coaching from a booth today, had a procedure, and has had several procedures actually done on his feet and is unable to coach from the field. So he's got the view from up top. And he's going to watch Kendrick Ings take this one off the hard net. He's very near side. Almost pinball off the tackle, but he's stopped. Just shy of the 15-yard line. Return of about 21. And here comes Jason Boltis and the Tampa Bay Storm offense.
Boltis tied for the lead in the AFL with 6 different games over 300 passing yards this season. His coach Lawrence Samuels, the Hall of Famer, has all kinds of confidence in what he gets from the quarterback they call Captain America. But as we referenced in the open, Floyd, the turnovers, the 20 interceptions so far, the bugaboo for this Storm offense.
First and 10, Storm at the 15. T.T. Tolliver in motion. Boltis pressure. Being chased. Let's go, Wobbler. Almost taken away by Tolliver. Chris Smith was the first one there, and T.T. Tolliver actually had to end up playing defensive back.
Samuel specifically talked about moments like this to us where there's an opportunity to just throw the football away. It's first down, the very first snap of the game. You're an athlete, you've got arm strength, but this is Jason Boltis forcing the issue when he just certainly didn't have to.
In some respects, maybe Tampa Bay lucky to see 2nd and 10. Quick pass. Here's Julius Gregory. Shimmy shake across the 20 and up to the 21. Sets up 3rd down and about 4.
You got some fun young receivers in this lineup, don't they, between Julius Gregory, Kendrick Ings, guys who are learning the game of arena football and have had to learn it on the fly because they've been key cogs in this Tampa Bay offense. We talked about the pass protection there to Marcus Yoshi-Hardrick getting the start at fullback today.
And you talk about another key cog and pass protection, Ben Osai. Started the last couple of games at fullback, has 10 starts on the offensive line this year, but he's been put back there because he has done very well against Joe Sykes so far this year. Meanwhile, Greg Reed, you just saw him leading the field, and that is not a good sign for a Sharks secondary that was already very banged up to begin with coming into this one.
Les Moss told us prior to the game it was a game-time decision at several spots within his secondary, uncertain who would be able to play.
So Larachi Jackson in the game now. Meanwhile, Boltis hits Sammons inside Jacksonville territory to the 23. First down, Storm. Sammons a very steady receiver. Defensively for Jacksonville, Joe Sykes, the man to watch. 16 sacks on the year, an AFL record. His next sack will rewrite the record books.
Big guy up front, the Manimal. He is tied, as he referenced, his own record in 2012 with those 16 sacks so far.
Go, good. On 1st and 10, Boltis. Gregory goes up, gets it. First down, Tampa. Making the catch in front of Terrence Smith. Alvin Ray Jackson in the area, too.
Joe Sykes tried to make the inside move here on Osai. Able to just reach that left hand out. Did appear to affect the pass a bit, but Boltis strong enough to still get the football out there. It's going to be a matchup we'll watch a lot throughout the night. Ben Osai matched up one-on-one with the most dangerous pass rusher in the Arena Football League in Joe Sykes.
And Sykes with just 1 sack in the first 2 games in this series this year. Flag thrown, no play. Boltis blasted, but he's okay. Sort through things here.
Offside. Offense, number 2, the high motion man. 10-yard penalty. It's 2nd down.
Penalty against the Tampa Bay Storm, and let's go to our Go RVing impact players.
As much as we talked about those exciting young wide receivers in the lineup, T.T. Tolliver, the ageless wonder, has 100 receptions and 32 touchdowns on the season. Can't get enough of Joe Sykes, and I tell you what, conversely, the opposing quarterbacks have had all they can handle from the AFL's best pass rusher.
You think Jason Boltis had a couple dreams about number 19 last night? Maybe woke up in a bit of a cold sweat?
You might define them more as nightmares, Troy.
1st and 15. Underneath. Looked like it one-hopped its way, and it did to Tolliver. Greg Reed back in the game. That's good news for Jacksonville. He was there on the coverage.
Ball just kind of came out low. Tolliver tried to just scoop it up off the ground. He appeared to control the football, but it hit the ground first as he was controlling it with both hands.
Reed with 2 critical interceptions in Jacksonville's win over Philadelphia last week. 2nd and 15. That's Gregory in motion, bottom of your screen. With a nice catch across the 15. Went down and got it for the pickup. Inside the 15, down to the 13.
It's a great adjustment to the football as Gregory went back shoulder. You can feel the pocket collapsing around you if you're Jason Boltis, but the very accurate pass away from the defender, fitting the football in a spot where only Gregory had an opportunity at it.
Gregory, one of the young receivers on this Storm squad. As we hear Boltis making the call. Tolliver, Sammons, Gregory, the receivers. And Boltis to throw. Here comes Sykes. And incomplete into the tunnel. Let's listen in as Jason Boltis is going to have a chat. See what he and Lawrence Samuels are going to do here on a critical 4th down.
Who's that, Red? Red? Is that Red? Come on. Right, line 2, 447. I will race the
a little bit loud in here, Anthony.
What'd you say?
4th down. Sykes hits him. Incomplete. And the Jacksonville Shark defense gets the first stop of the game at a critical time.
Joe Sykes has his game going early. Tampa Bay will need to be able to mix up protections against the AFL's best pass rusher. The Jacksonville Sharks smelling blood in the water early.
It's not a vacation day in the South Division as we are here in Jacksonville. Weather outside, not bad. Inside, a chance of pain. Sharks leading the Storm 7-0. And Jacksonville defensively getting a big stop to start things. Jason Boltis is feeling the pressure.
Richard Clubber Lang there. Prediction.
I like that.
Pain. Clubber Lang, Joe Sykes.
If they reboot Rocky 2, I could see that. That makes sense. Tommy Grady, not the most accurate start, just 2 of 5. They had to convert a 4th down along the way. But those 2 completions were a big one. First down completion and the touchdown to Joe Hills. Has things at a 7-0 score right now. London Crawford, the motion man. Trips to the top of your screen. A hard count, and everybody moves except the center, Ray McNeil.
Encroachment, defense, number 93. 5-yard penalty, it's 1st down.
Well, you like to see Richard Kleber get pressure, but maybe not quite like this.
From that zero technique. He likes to get the quick jump off the snap. He draws that fine line quite often between whether or not he's actually offsides or onside. A lot of folks at home sitting there say, well, he's right over the football. Why does he jump? Because you want every inch you can get, people.
Protection holds. Brady finds Crawford. Inside the 10. 1st and goal to go, Jacksonville. 27 yards on the game.
Alfred Phillips is the player that gives them the confidence. They can play a lot of man coverage on the back end, but he gets out of his pedal a little too late. You see where he opened his hips towards the field side. That allowed London Crawford to work back towards the wall. Well thrown football there from Grady. Throwing the football better on this series than he did on the first, I believe, so far.
Grady completing 65% of his passes coming into this one.
Go!
He's got it 1st and goal. Outside to Crawford. Cuts back. Undercut inside the 5. Alfred Phillips there to help make the stop. It's not unusual. He is the team's leading tackler. Coming into this week was the third leading tackler of the entire league.
Really well defended. A look at team defense on the outside because Randall Burton comes in and just blows up the block of Tiger Jones, so he doesn't make the tackle, but it funnels the ball carrier, London Crawford, back inside, and that's where James Harrell is able to be in position to make the tackle. Harrell and Phillips came in and cleaned it up. That's good team defense here in the red zone.
This is a very aggressive secondary, too. They're not afraid to gamble. Second and goal. Ross taking blue shirts with him into the end zone for the score. Touchdown number 31 for Derek Ross. And he's pumped.
A little lawnmower action from the boss. The defense took his helmet off. Still couldn't contain Derek Ross before he got into the end zone.
Ross listed at 250 pounds.
It's a very generous listing, I'd say.
I say listed in the air quotes.
I did detect the air quotes in your tone.
Here's the extra point attempt. It's through. And the Jacksonville Sharks, everything going right for them early on. Derek Ross, good things happen when he finds his way into the end zone for Jacksonville. It's 14-0 late in the first quarter. And be sure to check out arenafootball.com for all of the latest news and information on the Arena Football League. And while you're there, be sure to shop the AFL Team Fan Shop for the latest team gear. Check out arenafootball.com tonight. Not sure if there's any Darth Vader gear that you can get on arenafootball.com.
Worth a look, maybe. I don't know. Valid question.
You never know. It is Star Wars night here at Seabest Field. And more than a few fans here in the building are dressed appropriately, like that guy. He got the memo.
So Darth Vader as a game official? Is he a referee? Is that what the stripes are dictating there?
Yeah, you don't want to argue with that guy.
Was that like a younger and older Princess Leia? So that was, that Obi-Wan?
He left the house. Here's Kendrick Ing. Across the 15.
Ings on the return.
Getting just shy of the 20. Ings is certainly a spark plug, both on offense and on special teams. And he has been a thorn in Jacksonville's side, especially in the last game with the net recovery and the kickoff return for a touchdown the last time these two teams met. Jason Boltus trying to get the Storm on track here.
Right, 30, why do? 1-1, I'm ready, 30.
See them just look to get Jason Boltus in rhythm here. Hitch routes across the board with Ings in high motion.
Quickly to Ings. Ings in traffic. Pinballs off a man and scores. Touchdown Tampa Bay. As he bounced off Greg Reed and scampers in for a 31-yard score. And that's Kendrick Ings being Kendrick Ings.
Showing some power after the reception. Kendrick Ings known for his elusiveness, his speed, the ability here to play off of the tackle, Greg Reed. That's a play that Reed would normally make. He's been so outstanding in coverage this season, but it's been a fairly short tackler in most situations. Ings able to evade it.
Craig Peterson for the extra point. And it is through. Big score for Tampa Bay. They certainly needed that one late here in the first quarter. Bolts is feeling a bit better. So they've still got some work to do. The Arena Football League continues on Sunday at 6. We've got the LA Kiss visiting the streaking Arizona Rattlers in the National Conference matchup. Don't miss the gridiron action as the teams try to climb up the standings on ESPN News and watch ESPN. Speaking of the National Conference, things looking good at the top for Arizona and San Jose. Meanwhile, everyone else fighting for position.
How about the LA Kiss winning 4 out of their last 6 games? Certainly didn't see that coming, but Bob McMillan made a lot of changes to their roster. he's added some players that he feels more comfortable with, especially on the defensive side of the football. People like Rayshon Kaiser have made a lot of plays for the Kiss.
Kiss couldn't get out of their own way the first couple months of the season, but ever since getting that win against San Jose, they've really turned it around. Lawrence Samuel's hoping for a similar turnaround, as his squad has lost 3 straight.
These two teams have had so many fits and starts throughout the season. Immense talent on both rosters, inconsistency in execution though.
Don't forget, Tampa Bay holds all tiebreakers over Jacksonville for playoff positioning because they've already won both matchups this year. Haggerty from the back of the end zone. Weaves to the 5. Dives to the 10. 15-yard return there.
The first quarter.
That'll bring us to the end of the first quarter. A quarter in which the Jacksonville Sharks got out to an early 14-0 lead. Storm able to answer as we head to the second quarter. "15 minutes in, 14-7 Jacksonville. Let's head downstairs and check in with Steve Pappen, who's joined by Tampa Bay spark plug, Kendrick Ings.
Yeah, I'm here with Kendrick. Kendrick, known for your kickoff return abilities. Right there, you caught the ball in a short route, showed some power and speed. What did you guys see to get you open?
It was a simple hitch play, but when the jack comes to my side shootout, my coach Law taught me to wrap him. Once I wrapped him, I caught the ball, looked upfield, had time to run, so I seen red, I got to get in the end zone.
Earlier before that drive, you started off with the kick return. I heard the coach talking to you about when you see the gap, hit it. Did you not see the gap, or is it just something that, as the coach being on the sideline, he wasn't able to see what you saw?
I mean, me being on the field, I see different what people see on the sideline. I did hit it, but when I hit it, somebody came and chopped me, took my legs out. If it wasn't for that chop, I probably would have been gone.
Appreciate it. Good luck for the rest of the game. Thank you.
Back to action as Grady finds Hills. Hills wrestles his way across the 20 to the 21. An 11-yard pickup as he fights for a first down.
It was fun to talk to Steve Pappen, I mean, all the time, but even before the game about something very similar to what he was just addressing there with Kendrick Ings. There's things you see on the field as a player a lot of times, especially as a receiver and a kick returner, that don't always play out in the same way that the coach may be able to tell sometimes from the sideline. That's something Ings continuing to develop now as a rookie, just that intangible nature to be able to pick up things on the fly.
Go!
Hills in motion. Flag thrown. Forward. Incomplete. We'll have 2 flags on this play. Jacksonville had 17 penalties in that shocking loss to Portland against the Thunder a couple weeks ago. 11th in the league in that category.
There are 2 fouls on the play, both by the defense. Personal foul, hands to the face, number 93. That penalty is declined. Pass interference, defense, number 6. 10-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Liebert's been flagged twice already in this game.
The former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, he's got the good bull rush going, but the hand just rides all the way up into the face of Ray McNeil at the center position. That's when the flag comes in on him towards the inside. On the back end for Tampa Bay. Randall Burton has a penalty there as well.
So now the ball inside the 20. Go! Hills, bottom of your screen. Go! Tiger Jones in motion. Brady slings it to the touchdown. That was on the money, and it had some mustard on it. Tiger Jones in the end zone. Everybody's dancing. It's 20-7 Jacksonville.
Is that the mashed potato? Is that what that was?
That was everything thrown into one, I think. The mashed potato, the gravy.
I'm not sure what Al Phillips is looking at here because this is AMC. It's all man coverage across the board. He's got his eyes on Tiger Jones, and he looks into the backfield for some reason. That allows Jones the free release towards the corner of the end zone. I mean, Tommy Grady can just carve you apart well enough without just leaving coverage like that and allowing Tiger Jones to streak free.
So Tiger Jones into the end zone, and Jacksonville restores their 14-point lead. And what a throw to Tiger Jones. And when you make a The Jacksonville Sharks are now ahead by 2 scores. And when Tiger Jones gets into the end zone, this is what happens.
I think it may not have been completely just the mashed potato. I think there's some Tina Turner happening here. I think we're rolling on the river. I think that's what that was.
And that's not foreign to Tiger Jones at all. If an AFL player ever makes Dancing with the Stars, I would nominate him. He's got the full repertoire there. The Duck Duck Goose, the bobsled, the Soul Train.
He always includes the team, man.
Yes.
That's what's impressive about it. You know, you see him dancing by himself, a little janky leg, a little Michael Jackson. The choreography necessary to pull these things off. Mo Ruffins.
Smokey Ruffins isn't bad himself.
He was not.
Tiger Jones with the touchdown, 21-7. Jacksonville with the lead. Early second quarter. Here's Ink. Off the iron. Pounded down. Flag thrown. Probably going to rule that. Jacksonville didn't give Ings enough room to make the catch. But still a nice hit there by Haggerty. Karachi Jackson fired up.
Kick catch interference. Kicking team number 25. Breaking the 5-yard belt. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Somehow, though, I would imagine that if you're Les Moss and the Jacksonville Sharks, you're somewhat happy to take that penalty because it's a penalty of aggression and trying to send a message that they're down by 2 scores and it's going to be a lot harder for them to try to get back in it.
When I coached kickoff in the Arena Football League, that's precisely how I taught it. You see the ball bouncing high off the net, don't worry about it. Don't concern yourself with picking up a penalty for that 5-yard infraction. Go ahead and take your shot. Make sure you secure the tackle. Give up the penalty as long as, like you mentioned, Troy, a penalty of aggression.
Here's Bolton. Swings to Sammy. Midfield strike. Stop made by Greg Reed. Chris Smith also in on the tackle as well. Pick up a 13, first down.
Another rhythm throw there from Tampa Bay. It's good to see the Storm using more 3-step, allowing Jason Bolton that rhythm that you need. With Jamarcus Hardrick in at fullback, he won't be the run or screen threat that you look for that they had earlier in the season with Chris Jamison in the lineup at fullback. But you still can use the 3-step game to protect the QB.
T.T. Tolliver with the grab inside the 15. His first catch of the night, and flags thrown afterwards.
Just for an example of how old T.T. Tolliver is, he's actually a former teammate of mine.
Wow.
We played together for multiple seasons.
The result of the play is the
Cats.
first down. After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Offense, number 1. 10-yard penalty. It's 1st and 10.
One of the things that you used to get more often from Tolliver when he was a younger player, the immature sort of moments like this. And, you know, the defensive back, Chris Smith, he does sort of pull him down a little bit late, but that's going to happen from time to time. I mean, the receiver is declared down at that point. Smith yanks him back. Tolliver doesn't like it. I mean, no punches thrown, but the extra shoving taking place.
Overall, though, Tolliver, the unquestioned veteran leader of this receiving corps. Here's the newcomer, Tristan Purifoy in the game. Stretches, he'll be close to the first down if he doesn't get it. Purifoy, acquired by Tampa Bay just last week, had a 4-yard touchdown catch against the Voodoo.
Let's go option X jerk.
Here we go. Range left, 50, on 2. Option 3-9, X jerk, on 2, 50, on 2. Yeah.
See the option route from Tolliver in high motion. 3 here, and the 9 coming up the board. The Love's concept for the Storm.
On 2nd and 1. Bolton hits Sammons. Sammons to the 10, first down. Bolton's had a lot of time to improvise there and go on to his second or third read there.
He did, and the protection held up soundly, and where there was some leakage on the interior, he stayed with the throwing platform, the ability to continue to work, keeping the eyes downfield, just that slight move towards his left.
First down. Salmon's in motion. And Boltus incomplete off the wall. That one a bit behind Tyler.
Maybe a miscommunication there. These rounded end zones in Jacksonville, very tight with the confines of the end zone. He was hoping Tolliver was going to flip his shoulders and work up towards the deeper part of the end zone.
And I'd imagine if you're a defensive player, you especially appreciate the fact that there isn't quite as much room to work in the end zone for the receiver.
Three cover and return. Now we're ready. 50-50. Two. I'm corner.
Boltus continuing to communicate the play as they break the huddle. Very loud here at CBS Field.
Julius Gregory, the motion man. And Boltus plants it. Pass caught to the 1 yard line. Boltus pounded. Say hello, Joe Sykes.
We still have the mic hot on the quarterback as well, so you at least got to hear what Jason Boltus is going through. Certainly didn't feel it, but just look at the inside move made here by Joe Sykes. It's going to be a long day if they can't find some help from Ben Osai. Watching it again, I don't know. I'm going to take that back. He hit him so hard, I think I did feel it, Troy.
Third down. 1 yard to go. Gregory at the top of your screen. Samuels will be the motion man. He'll come into your frame right now. And Boltus fumbles the snap. Won't get there. Fourth down coming up now for Tampa Bay. And an injured Storm player in the end zone.
Officials timeout for an injured player.
Exchange. Can't have it on third down. This is a game that Lawrence Samuels is viewing as a playoff game. A loss wouldn't mathematically eliminate the Tampa Bay Storm, but you have to be in playoff mode in this atmosphere. But now you bring yourself to fourth down on an unforced error.
Three whip. Three whip return. Three whip return. Here we go. 50, left, wide zoom, three whip, return. Now we're ready.
Gregory and Ings to the left, Tolliver to the right. Jamarcus Hardrick is the fullback.
You see Ings on the whip route, looking in and out.
Boltus will take it himself. Blasted at the goal line. No. Stopped short. Greg Reed helping to lead the charge. And another huge stop for the Shark defense.
The whip route declared open for just a moment. But Boltus at the quarterback position ends up dropping his eyes, trying to utilize the athleticism. You see him there looking off from the field side. One of the best
after the play,
QB athletes in the AFL, quoted by the Sharks.
Jacksonville Sharks coming off a critical goal line stop, and they lead by 2 scores over the Tampa Bay Storm. Welcome back into CBS Field. Very big-time pleasure to be joined right now by the commissioner of the Arena Football League, Scott Butera. Scott, thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having us, and we're having a great day here in Jacksonville. I mean, the stadium's absolutely rocking. The fans are really excited. We spent most of the day touring local news media and just going to rallies, and it's amazing the amount of support this team gets.
And Scott, one of the big stories that have happened over the last couple of weeks that fans are wondering about, any update on the situation ownership-wise in New Orleans and Las Vegas?
Sure. Well, you know, we're trying to create a great platform for growth in our league, and we have a lot of exciting opportunities. So it's important that we have the right ownership at each of our team levels. And we had a couple of owners that, you know, didn't really make sense for the league, didn't really make sense for them, so the leagues basically said we're going to take those properties in. They're both in great markets. We're in very active discussions with, you know, high-quality groups to take over those teams, and I think we'll have something done very shortly. But really what it's all about is creating a great league with great partners and have financial stability so we can use that platform to grow, and we have many good opportunities here in the United States and abroad.
very interesting playoff race, and especially here in this conference. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, you're definitely going to have a team that has a losing record in the playoffs. Is there any talk about maybe changing that up and looking into changing that up going forward?
You know, our competition committee looks at our playoff structure every year, but I kind of think that's what happens. You know, you get in competitive divisions and sometimes you have more losses than you should, but that doesn't mean you're not a good football team. You know, here in Florida, it's great because you get great rivalries amongst 3 teams, and you got a division that's just on fire right now. So we like that. You know, we like rivalries, we like competition, and to me, it's about sort of, you know, winning your league, beating your opponent, and what your record is only part of that story.
And lastly, Scott, I mean, for you, you're getting towards the end of your first regular season as commissioner. Any overall message to the fans at this point?
Yeah, just that this is an amazing sport. You know, it really is. It's very exciting. It's high action. The quality of the play is fantastic. And I think in a very short order, you're going to see the Arena Football League in many new cities.
Appreciate your time, sir. I mean, like you mentioned, an outstanding atmosphere here in Jacksonville.
Absolutely. All right, well, it's a pleasure being with you, gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of the game.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate the time.
10-yard penalty, automatic first down.
NFL Commissioner Scott Gutierrez joining us here in the booth. Playoff atmosphere in Jacksonville.
No doubt about that. The fans are ready. The teams were ready. When the Jacksonville Sharks took the field before the game, they were blaring out James Brown's The Big Payback. And rightfully so, because Jacksonville is 0-2 against Tampa Bay so far this year. So far, so good for them in this one midway through the second quarter. They're ahead 21-7. First down, Brady. Underneath. Hills backs out of bounds across the 15.
That's one of the reasons that Tommy Brady is the least sacked quarterback in the Arena Football League this season. Only 7 times he's been taken down this year. But like we mentioned earlier, Troy, that 3 steps of getting the football out of his hands quickly, staying in rhythm. And there were some more fits and starts earlier in the season for Jacksonville offensively than there have been as of late, because there's been sort of a blending of terminology, of philosophy as Tommy Brady came here in his first season with the Jacksonville Sharks, blending his offense with Les Moss's.
Brady back, a floater. Crawford into the front row, incomplete. And a fan may have lost a beverage along the way. Rick J. Hill in there to make the stop.
Crawford going airborne into the stands. What do we have there? Is it a beverage? Is it popcorn? A lot of other potential receivers over there with their hands outstretched, hoping to get the football.
Now, in this league, if you're a fan, you catch the football, you keep it. What if you catch a player?
You got to throw the player back.
Oh, okay.
You do throw the player back.
Go! I'll help you place it. Here's a handoff to Derek Ross. Squaring his shoulders. Pulling. And getting the first down. It takes several blue shirts to bring him down as Ross rumbles for 5.
There's some other nimble big men who play football in the AFL, but Derek Ross is a true outdoor running back. All-time leading rusher, Tarleton State, a former Kansas City Chiefs tailback. See here, even though he's probably upwards of, plus 270 pounds, but still has the vision and the ability to plant that foot and turn north and south to pick up a first down.
Meanwhile, Rick J. Hill needs some help getting to his feet, as it appeared that Hill and Phillips got a bit tied up there. And actually, that's Randall Burton being helped off. In the South Division, it is always tight and action-packed and drama-filled. This year, no exception. The Predators on top of things, and they've already clinched a playoff berth. Jacksonville and Tampa Bay fighting to be in the playoff race and to stay in the playoff race. Les Moss hoping for the right answers.
It's been funny talking to Les Moss throughout the season about being upstairs over the last couple of months and being on the headset. He was on the coaching staff with Jay Gruden back with the Orlando Predators for a number of years, winning Arena Bowl championships, going to the playoffs season in and season out. He said there was a point where he and Jay Gruden, when Gruden actually had Moss upstairs on the headset for a bit, he said they were going to kill each other for a while because they couldn't stand being on the headset talking to each other so much, so Gruden at one point just eliminated it. Brady
back. Cleveland had a hand on him. But Brady finds Hills. sidesteps a man and falls into the end zone for the score. Touchdown Sharks, but a flag behind the play.
Looks like this one is likely to come back for a holding in the backfield.
Everyone in a blue shirt pointing in Jacksonville's direction. Reggie Smith and the officiating crew sorting things out.
There are fouls by both teams. Holding offense number 62. Illegal defense number 8, the jack out of the box. The foul's offset. Will repeat the down, however, by rule. Number 8 has committed his second jack out of the box and must sit for the remainder of the half.
And that's an interesting development.
And
now
actually,
they've got Tristan Purifoy in.
Right, because Rick J. Hill actually did, as we saw, leave the lineup
That's his first.
a
The
few
fouls
snaps
will
ago.
offset. Repeat the down. First down.
In any case, a 28-yard touchdown pass gets wiped off the board.
For all that, we're back to square one.
There's Tristan Purifoy, as mentioned, just signed by the Sharks 9 days ago.
It's certainly
on
been
the defensive side.
about that, partner. It's been known to happen when you put a new jack into the game. Purifoy doesn't have the same feel for the box as Rick J. Hill.
Tiger Jones has a feel for getting open underneath. He gets close to the marker. Let's take a listen in. Tommy Grady calling his own plays, trying to get the Sharks back into the end zone.
Let's go. Let's go. All right. Triple left, X back. Let's go 53, F flat, T screen on.
I'm going to try to contain myself if Cornelius Lewis ends up getting the ball here. I love it when the big men get the football.
On 1st and 10, it's the screen. Cornelius Lewis, big man with football. Big man to the 1. 1st and goal to go as Lewis rumbles for 17.
And Troy, we didn't only see the hands necessary to essentially back hip, maybe not completely back shoulder, but back hip the football with the big hips there from Lewis. But as he lets the defender work his way up the field, makes a nice little grab, makes a move there in space, and then watch the big man go as he barrels his way towards the end zone. A little high stepping, a juke move. He was smelling the end zone, Troy.
Not often you see a 335-pounder do a little shimmy shake. You see Derek Ross do this a lot. He's in. Touchdown Sharks. The 1-yard plunge, and everybody's up at Z-Best Field.
London Crawford hits the lawnmower for Derek Ross. Derek Ross didn't have the energy for it after that last touchdown run.
Cornelius Lewis might be a little bit tired too. After his 17-yard catch and run set it all up. High snap, handled, extra point good. Right now it is all Jacksonville. 28-7. Cornelius Lewis on the screen. Stutter stepping. Getting away from Tristan Purifoy and setting up Derek Ross into the end zone once more. 28-7. And watch ESPN. Let's head downstairs. Steve Pappin roaming the sidelines.
Yeah, I'm here with Cornelius Lewis. Big Ant up in the booth, heard the play call, knew he was getting the ball. He got excited. How excited were you to get that play call?
I was very excited. That was my first one this year. I've been getting it in practice, but we finally got a chance to start calling the game.
Well, that being your first one, you're that close from getting a touchdown. What do you got to do to get in the end zone next time?
Next time I'm going to stretch out. I got to stretch out.
Appreciate it.
No problem.
Back to you guys.
Cornelius Lewis is 6'5". Stretching out shouldn't be that big of a problem.
He would have had to dive over the defender and extend the ball into the end zone. We did see the CrossFit games on ESPN News throughout the day before this contest. CrossFit game style touchdown if you
The
could have
ball's
gotten that
not
one
yet
into the end
made
zone.
ready for play. We had issues with the back door, do-over.
Everybody was ready except for the folks who were in charge of the back gate behind the end zone. As the Tampa Bay Storm, they need to come up with some answers quickly. Down by 3 scores. Jacksonville, the Sharks smelling blood.
Julian Roush will tee it back up. This will be the 4th possession of the game for the Tampa Bay Storm. They've already been stopped twice. 2 out of the first 3 possessions, they've been held without a score.
The last time on 4th and goal from the 1. Bolts has tried to step up and take it himself and was pounded just before he got to the goal line. Kendrick Ings hoping for better results. Meanwhile, Julian Roush from Appalachian State sends the kick away. Ings won't get a chance. Bouncing into the second row. So after the touchback, Jason Boltis and the Storm offense retaking the field. Boltis 10 of 12, 112 yards and 1 score.
Apparently, Tampa Bay has come into Jacksonville with some hostility.
Boltis has thrown the ball fairly well. There's been a couple of situations where his decision-making has been off.
Line 2, down 3-1. I'm on ready, 30.
This should be another situation with the sail route where the ball should come out in rhythm. Coverage will dictate. Could have a corner coming to the field side.
Boltis goes to Tolliver. That's good for a first down. Larache Jackson, with the stop. The Sharks defense getting after it.
Joe Sykes has led the way, but special teams have been laying the lumber as well. At pressure in the pocket on Boltis have led them having to make quicker decisions than what he might like. That 4th down stop was huge for Jacksonville on the previous drive.
Already you're starting to see a difference in the pressure applied on Boltis in this game as opposed to previous matchups. Over the middle, Tolliver. Bump down immediately by Greg Reed. Still a first down for Jacksonville, for Tampa Bay.
We talked about Ben Osai earlier in the game. I mean, he did play well in each of the previous 2 contests with Joe Sykes. But to leave him on an island snap after snap, as is being done so far in this game, just allows Joe Sykes as a pass rusher to set him up. And you start to work certain moves when you know you show him the speed in his feet, make him open up, then you can set up the inside move, you set up the power. I think it's still a good idea to change up the matchup, show some slide protection.
Both teams have all timeouts remaining. All instant replay challenges.
We head now to the wackiest minute in football. The 1 minute warning. Jacksonville ahead 28-7. 1 minute warning here in Jacksonville where the Sharks have a 28-7 lead over the Tampa Bay Storm. Meanwhile, the Union roll to the nation's capital for a throwdown against the DC United. Who will come out victorious? It's DC United versus Philadelphia Union, Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2 and watch ESPN. I call this the wackiest minute in football because so many things happen in the final minute of each half. Tried to hit Tolliver. Tolliver wasn't ready for the ball. Incomplete pass there. Inside the final minute of each half, the clock now stops on out-of-bounds plays and incomplete passes. And you start to see teams play for possessions and try to get as many possessions as you possibly can, especially for Tampa Bay as they won the coin toss but deferred to the second half.
Hurry up.
So this is a very critical sequence for them.
The Storm need to be thinking 2 for 1. Quick touchdown here and then attempt the onside kick.
Wings in motion. Boltis to Gregory. Wrapped up. Finished off by Greg Reed. Do a flag on the field on the far side. Alvin Ray Jackson did not look too happy, the Jacksonville Jack linebacker.
Reggie Smith just confirming with Lauren Samuels if they want to accept the penalty, what time he wants remaining on the clock as well, with it being a defensive penalty.
Illegal defense, number 17, Jack out of the box. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That moves the ball ahead. Jackson with 6 interceptions on the year, first team All-Arena in 2012. Has been one of the stabilizing forces for the Sharks defense that was so woeful in the first part of the season.
There's the Jack linebacker working towards the wall side, but ends up deeper than 5 yards before the quarterback is releasing the football. Alvin Ray Jackson, known as a guy who will walk that fine line on the 5-yard depth.
Here comes the game. Owner of Tampa Bay's only touchdown to this point.
First charge timeout.
Smack into Terrence Smith.
Jacksonville, 30 seconds.
And timeout called as the ball now spotted at the 9.
The Sharks take that timeout defensively. They're trying to put themselves in position to have as much time remaining on the clock as they can once they get the football back, once this drive comes to a head.
It's just one of the nuances of this game, especially in the final minute before each half.
Corner.
Jason Boltus getting the call from Ron Samuels.
Right, Z-zoom. 3 uncovered corner return. Now we're ready, 50-50. Hold up now.
Corner return. Coverage could dictate once you get to the depth of the end zone. Receiver whips back.
Boltus
He's not offside. He's not offside, sir. He's not offside, man.
Offside. Offense number 2, the high motion man. 10-yard penalty.
Well, Jason, all due respect, Reggie Smith disagrees.
And officials in the Arena Football League have started to emphasize this more and more in recent years. It's been a point of emphasis from the referees around the league. Competition committee that Commissioner Butera referenced when he was talking to us earlier in this quarter didn't want to see as many offsides penalties. They want the offense to be held to a similar standard to what the defenders are with offsides.
It's hard enough to defend in this league without having the receivers 2 yards downfield at the snap of the ball. Julius Gregory, shaking, spinning to the 10, stuck by Reed, 4 yards shy of the marker.
Second charge timeout.
Now with 30 seconds remaining.
Jacksonville.
You're at that point where maybe Tampa Bay starts to consider running time off the clock as opposed to the quick touchdown, because with less than 30 seconds remaining, if they score the touchdown, it would be a very difficult 2-for-1 scenario. Boltus gets the football out of his hands quickly. Julius Gregory's gotten better and better running after the catch. Ronte Jackson, one of those defensive backs for Jacksonville, we referenced. Les Miles wasn't sure if he'd be in the lineup tonight.
Hey, we go, right from here. Hey, right from here. Right, 50, Z-zoom, 3 uncovered corner return.
From the 10-yard line, we'll see Julius Gregory with an opportunity to create space. Looks like he'll be matched up with Greg Reed there in the middle.
Go, good.
Boltus blasted by Sykes. Incomplete. Sykes loses his helmet, but gains a quarterback hit in the process.
It's asking an awful lot. You're going to match up a pass protector. Snap in and snap out with a pass rusher the likes of Joe Sykes. Just giving no help to Ben Osai on the field side. So Sykes shows to speed up the field, snap after snap, shows him a little power. And then again here, getting to the quarterback as Jason Bolton tries to deliver the football.
Sharks fans on their feet. They would love to see their defense come through with a third stop. Tampa Bay 0 for 2 on 4th down already.
Huh? Good. Yeah. Your arm? Yeah, my arm, but no.
Jason Boltus telling Lawrence Samuels.
Here we go.
He's feeling the effects of that hit from Joe
Wide
Sykes.
two. Stay on third. One. I want ready. Grab it. 30.
4th and 4. Tolliver will be the motion man.
Joe Sykes up top.
Go. Turn.
In trouble. Down he goes. Scooter Berry breaks through. And the Shark defense comes through once again.
The record for the Jacksonville Sharks that Joe Sykes broke this season belonged to Scooter Berry, the former single-season team record holder for sacks. We acquired him this year. Just a nice chop move up the field. Great burst to finish at the quarterback, Jason Boltis.
Berry's 2nd sack of the year. Sharks head coach Les Moss was looking for pressure for guys other than from Joe Sykes. And he just got it there big time from Berry. Meanwhile, Jacksonville can put Tampa Bay in an even worse spot now. High ball. Hills goes over and makes the catch. They call it complete.
First down.
Tiger Jones, right over near the wall, goes full extension. Almost had a couple of fans actually get in his way. And then at the last second, they realized, oh yeah, this is one of our guys.
And a nice assist from the fans there too, as they kind of realized the situation, then kind of backed off somewhat to help Tiger make the catch. That's a smart fandom right there.
The Sharks fans have seen some winning football over the years.
Brady hit. He gets rid of it. Bounced off Dexter Jackson in the area.
No foul for
Help get the
intentional
pressure
blocking. Number 11 was
on
in
Brady.
the area. 2nd down.
Jackson finally making an imprint on the game. He's matched up snap after snap on the interior, mainly with Derek Ross, sometimes with the center, Ray McNeil. Jackson, in a similar fashion to what I referenced earlier with Joe Sykes, Jackson knows he's going to have Derek Ross on an island. And so as opposed to just bringing the power snap after snap in the MAC linebacker position, you need to show the full toolbox of moves.
Hard count, Tampa Bay doesn't jump. Brady to the end zone. In traffic, touchdown. London Crawford goes up and gets it. And he's telling the whole world about it now. 20-yard touchdown, and the Sharks can do no wrong.
The season of London Crawford was cut short last year due to a knee injury. Got deep into this year before he was able to return to the lineup on a full-time basis.
Crawford helping to win a spot on this roster thanks to an open tryout that the Sharks held in Nashville back in December 2012. He's certainly proving his work in the Jacksonville uniform ever since then, his 3rd year in the league.
Crawford appears to just get healthier and healthier. You'll see him here in high motion. He'll work over Al Phillips again. Another situation of man coverage. Phillips just doesn't take the angle necessary to be in position to fight this football away. Crawford going up top, taking Phillips to flight school.
And a sensational throw by Grady as well, where only his man could get it. And Crawford's 6'3", so he's got a little size to him. And some dance moves too. All the Sharks can dance.
They certainly take their cue.
Their fans aren't bad either.
Seabass Field has been watching Tiger Jones dance throughout the season. The players making it happen on the field, the fans having a good time in the stands. Even the Stormtroopers getting it down.
And even the Storm fans are getting into it as well. Awesome atmosphere here in Jacksonville, but what else would you expect with a high-stakes matchup like this? Week 18 out of 20 in the Arena Football League season. And both of these teams fighting for playoff positioning. At halftime, we're going to go deeper into how things look as far as Jacksonville and Tampa Bay, and a third team also in the mix, fighting for 2 of the final spots in the American Conference playoffs. 35-7 Jacksonville. Ross kicks it deep. Crossbar, soft net, and a touchback for Tampa Bay.
Think about the fact the first time Tampa Bay met Jacksonville this season, Troy, beat by 35 points. Only gave up 28. It was a dominant effort from Lawrence Samuel's squad. They did defeat them again in a tougher contest just beyond midseason.
And to do this, the Jacksonville Sharks defense against an offense that at one point had scored touchdowns on 17 straight possessions against Jacksonville. They've made 3 stops today. Things have spun. Salmon's in motion. Quick throw to Pirifor. Pirifor jumps in and bounce, stops the clock, 5 seconds to go. Pick up of 8.
This is the opportunity to try and see some little momentum going into the half.
I threw that and he's in my face.
I know. Throw it quick, went out of bounds.
Instructions from Lawrence Samuels.
Go left, wide zoom. Let's go. 4-4-4. Stay. I'm already 50-50.
Tampa Bay's receivers are Tolliver at the bottom of your screen. Salmons will be the motion man. And Pirifor at the top of your screen. With Pirifor. Out of bounds. 1 second left.
Precisely how Samuels was hoping that moment would work out. Now you've got a few more yards and an opportunity to run the full arc of the route tree.
Meanwhile, Les Moss might be shooting the scoreboard, the clock operator for the dirty look right about now.
And actually, as opposed to trying to throw the jump ball, Tampa Bay electing to bring Craig Peterson on the field for the field goal attempt.
And this will only be their 4th field goal attempt of the year.
Charge timeout, Tampa Bay, 30 seconds.
Storm calling timeout here, trying to get some points before they head to the locker room at the half. They do get the second half kickoff.
I'm surprised by this. I really thought that Tampa Bay would attempt a touchdown pass here, either a lob or being at the 20-yard line, you're close enough to maybe even attempt the net ball that you see frequently enough in the AFL. The danger of this is that Terrence Smith, if this is a missed field goal, it's an opportunity for Smith, who has been a dangerous return man throughout his career, to run it back.
From 45 yards away. It's through. In between the 9-foot crevice.
This is the end of the first half.
Peterson connects on his 3rd field goal of the year. And the Tampa Bay Storm get 3 points. They're still down by 25.
This is a confident stroke from Peterson as well. I mean, it was right through the pipes the whole way.
Previously, that was his longest field goal before this was 26 yards. As we have Steve Pappin downstairs.
I'm here with quarterback Tommy Grady. Tommy, 5 possession, 5 touchdowns. What is Tampa Bay doing or not doing that's making it easy for you?
Playing a lot of man, and the receivers are getting open. Offense line is doing a great job giving me time to throw, and we're completing passes right now.
Calling your own plays, how difficult it is for you not to call passes down there and instead give the ball to Derrick Ross?
It's not hard. It makes my job easier. It takes a lot of pressure off me. Derrick's doing a great job, and offense line's moving it for me.
Thanks, Tommy. Back to you guys.
3 passing touchdowns for Grady, 2 rushing touchdowns for Derrick Ross. But maybe the biggest number of all is 3, as in the number of defensive stops by the Jacksonville Sharks. It all adds up to a 35-10 halftime lead. A look at the playoffs straight ahead.
Have a lot to say, man, but a heck of a job first half, heck of a job defense, way to play, way to get the ball back for the offense. Great job, Tommy. Offensive line, keep it up, okay? We got a 4-possession lead on them, 35-10, right? Okay.
When we go out there, fellas, you got to play with confidence. We ain't playing with no confidence. Everybody just kind of waltzing around. Got to wake up. Get your juices going. We get a score, defense, got to get a stop. We got to stop them. We got to make some plays. Let's make it now. Let's make it happen right now this half, all right? Come on, guys, let's bring it up. Come on, let's go, man. Warmed up and let's go. Come on, man. Come on. It ain't over, man. Far from over.
Well, Lawrence Samuels was in a desperate and urgent mood when we talked to him earlier this morning. Certainly take those passes and ratchet them up just a little bit because his team is down by 25 in a critical game. They do get the ball to start the second half, so that's good news for the Storm.
This is an offense with players on the field who've made a lot of plays against this Jacksonville defense in earlier contests this season. That's the Jacksonville defense playing at a much higher level than they did previously. But there are things tonight that Tampa Bay has had an opportunity to take advantage of that haven't been there. And so for Jason Boltis, his pass protection, his wide receiver core, they've got to come out, pitch and catch the football around the field and not get too far ahead. There's no 25-point play for them to complete on the first snap of this half, but they've got to come out and mount a drive, put points on the board, and then put their defense in position to take the field with momentum.
As high scoring as the first two matchups have been between these two squads, the combined third quarter scoring for Tampa Bay versus Jacksonville, Storm 14, Sharks nothing. Underway here in the second half. Ames lost the ball at the end. Able to get it back. And a good thing too, because that would have been disastrous for Tampa Bay.
Lawrence Samuels used the word confidence. He's not seeing his team play with much of it so far through the first half tonight.
Alvin Ray Jackson reaching in there.
Right, why do? Stay one, I'm ready. 30.
Jason Boltis hoping that he can get the Storm offense to reach a higher level. Tolliver at the bottom of your screen. Salmon's the motion man. Gregory at the top of your screen. Gregory with a quick catch. Stopped immediately by Terrence Smith. Quick pickup of 2.
That's an easy completion. It only gets 2 yards, but there's rhythm at that point. It's an easy throw and catch. You don't come back to the huddle feeling like nothing was accomplished.
Here we go. Left close. Wide zoom. Stale 3-1. I'm ready.
Terrence Smith was a guy that Les Moss was not sure of at all of his availability for this game. One of several members of the Sharks secondary has been banged up coming into this one. They've acquitted themselves nicely. Tolliver with the grab inside Jacksonville territory, first down.
On the back end, between Jacksonville secondary, the addition of Greg Reed, after that the addition of Chris Smith as well. They've got more confidence with their secondary, the ability to play man coverage. This is a very deep and talented wide receiver core for the Tampa Bay Storm. Saw Reed lead the lineup earlier. He's been back onto the field. So when you combine a secondary that can play man with a pass rush that can get home, it's what makes their defense so tough.
Boltis backs up. Send this one into the fourth row. Incomplete pass, and the pass rush once again forcing Boltis to make a throw that he doesn't necessarily want to make.
On a play where he doesn't actually get a hit on the quarterback, but just to be able to affect the pocket with this inside move, of course, matched up again with Ben Osai. You see there how Jason Boltis has to throw away, has to fall away as he throws the pass. It affects his accuracy, and that word confidence that Lawrence Samuels was using in the locker room. You can't be confident as a quarterback with your throwing platform. You feel the defender in your lap every snap.
Sykes again. Lost the ball. Recovered by Osai at the 15. The Sharks' pass rush is starting to swallow up Boltis.
Just beat him inside on the previous snap. Here comes Joe Sykes bringing it off the edge. A great first step up the field and then dipping that inside shoulder. From there, Pierre Turner is the one who ends up knocking the ball free after Sykes gets the initial hit. Actually, it's Jean-Baptiste from the nose position. Watch him dip that shoulder. You see him there just working through the outside shoulder of Ben Osai. To be able to rush with that depth of pad level, it makes him so difficult to block.
Third and long. Boltis going deep. Knocked away at the 5, incomplete. Intended for Gregory. But Greg Reed ranging over to make the stop. Once again, fourth down for Tampa Bay.
Very hard duty for Jason Boltis. Back in the pocket. Defenders in his lap, snap after snap. Opportunity for Greg Reed going up. Gregory able to just knock the ball away, turning into a DB.
We've seen a couple of passes from Bolta today where his wide receivers have had to turn defensive back. 4th down and 22. Here comes Sykes. Bolta's hit as he throws, and the pass doesn't have a chance. Another stop for Jacksonville, their 4th of the game, and they have brought their A game all night long.
One of the baddest men in the Arena Football League has made his imprint on this ball game. Joe Sykes may not have a sack, but he's setting up his team.
Back to action in Jacksonville, where the Sharks have a 35-10 lead. They have the ball. They're facing 2nd down and 9 inside the Tampa Bay 15. Joe Hills coming in motion. Brady looking for him. Not there. Tiger Jones instead. Stopped by Burton at the 10. Picks up 4 yards, 3rd down and 5.
No need to force the issue for Tommy Grady. No need to take any chances. Been good about that throughout the season. Only 9 interceptions coming into tonight's contest. Talking to assistant head coach Brian Ferguson, who's on the headset with Les Moss. Coach Moss being upstairs.
I love the touchdown to interception ratios that you see in this game. Grady coming into this one, 81 touchdowns, 9 picks. The interception ratio is 9-1. You're doing good work. Grady wants to add to it here. Can't find Jones, but a flag thrown in the end zone.
It's like the flag will likely come on James Harrell in the secondary.
Prior to the pass, holding defense number 5. At the distance of the goal, automatic 1st down.
Harrell was named the AFL MVP for his performance against Jacksonville the first time these two teams met back in week 6.
Let's go 23 cross base, wide crack only. Oh my God. 23 cross base.
Suffered a broken hand earlier in the season against the Arizona Rattlers. It's made it more difficult for him to try to jam receivers at the line of scrimmage.
That's something that the secondary likes to do.
Go!
Crawford in motion. Handoff to Ross. Bounces off and goes over the top. Touchdown Sharks. 3rd touchdown of the night for Derrick Ross. Handshakes and celebrations all around.
I'm convinced of it. If you're over 250 pounds, it looks like for Jacksonville, they spent most of the day watching the CrossFit games like I did. Derrick Ross here, knowing the defender's going to go low, going high, getting up top and into the paint.
The athleticism we have seen in various facets and forms from the Sharks tonight. Leaping over guys, big men in the open field, doing stutter steps as the extra point is good. And Derrick Ross once again into the end zone as he has put Tampa Bay behind a 32-point hole over the top. Derrick Ross, 6 more points for Jacksonville. It may be Star Wars night here in Jacksonville, but Derrick Ross doing his Superman impression. Up and away. We're used to sending things downstairs to Steve Tappan.
I love you, mama.
We're going to go upstairs as he is joined by the Jacksonville Sharks head coach, Les Moss.
Go Sharks, baby.
We'll do that in a moment, actually after the kick. So Julian Raj has the ball teed up and advancing. It goes underneath the crossbar. So now let's send it upstairs to Steve Pappan, who's with the Jacksonville coach, Les Moss.
Yeah, I'm with Coach Moss right now, and this is a little bit of easier interview than it was Tommy Grady because you're sitting here with me. I saw early on in that drive you were trying to call down to get that play called that actually scored the touchdown. How difficult is it for you to be up here not live in the action?
Well, personally, I mean, I love being down there, but up here I have a great view and we have good communication. So, we've had good communication, we've had success, so we're just going to keep on doing it. That's all we can do.
Well, looking at the score, it looks like you guys are going to be in the playoffs. Do you think at any point during the playoffs you might be down on the field, or are you going to be stayed up in the press box the rest of the season?
No, there's no way. I mean, this injury is a 9 to 15-month injury, so there's no way. I won't know what. I mean, that would take something from somebody a lot more special than me upstairs for me to be on my feet again.
Well, looking towards the playoffs, you got a fine team here. Well, I mean,
10 yards at it.
Okay, well, in this game, your guys are playing like they should on paper.
Correct.
How excited are you to be playing at that high level going into looking forward to the playoffs?
Well, we're playing well, but we still got a quarter and a half to play. But it's nice to play well. I mean, at this time of year, you want to be playing well.
Thanks, Coach. Coach Moss, being a coach as usual, do not look ahead at no point, no matter how big the lead is. Back to you guys.
Playoffs. The coaching never stops. Bolts is trying to keep it going, too, as he's close to a first down after the scramble.
He's doing his best Jim Moore impression there.
He just hopes they can win a game.
Yeah. He said, Pat, don't talk about playoffs.
Meanwhile, Tampa Bay just hopes they can get in the end zone. They haven't been there since the first quarter. Batted down by Barry, incomplete. This Sharks defense has tightened up in all phases. The secondary has played very well, but it seems like the guys up front have done the best job of setting the tone.
What you're hoping for as a great defense is that you have a defensive front that can set the tone in a ball game. Spent a lot of time talking about Joe Sykes with very good reason, but Scooter Berry is a player as well. As I referenced earlier, he was the single season record holder for sacks as well before Sykes broke that record this year.
Bolts is trying to get everybody set. Play clock down to 2. Outside to Purifoy. Terrence Smith there to make the stop, and it's a first down for the Storm. Boltus didn't quite like what he saw initially when the Storm lined up and was trying to get guys in the right position.
Very disjointed for Tampa Bay offensively right now. I heard, some chatter throughout the game where Jason Bolts is having to direct traffic after they leave the huddle. So to give credit to the noise here at Seabest Field for that in the first half.
Tolliver can't hang on. Chris Smith jarring it loose.
It's an incomplete pass. It's second down.
It's almost like Jacksonville's playing with 9 defenders. Everywhere there's a Tampa Bay receiver, seems to have at least one, if not 2 bodies draped over.
He's sitting way inside. He's sitting way. Hey, Trip. Hey, Trip. 370. I'm ready. 50.
You got 3 downs to put the ball in the end zone here if you're Tampa Bay. 7 route will be difficult with these short corners in the rounded end zones.
Bolts is flushed out. A high heater to the back of the end zone and a flag thrown.
That'll be on Terrence Smith as Julius Gregory came free in the end zone. And Jason Bolts has got flushed.
Pass interference, defense number 10. Half a distance to the goal, automatic first down.
Jacksonville has had their struggles with penalties throughout much of the season. This seems to have been a much more cleanly played game for Jacksonville thus far.
The Sharks are a chippy team. You'll see them, in a similar fashion to really a couple of teams in the American Conference who, Cleveland is known as a chippy team. Orlando is a chippy team. No shortage of penalties picked up.
Boltus misses Salmon's incomplete. Very tight window. Alvin Ray Jackson and Greg Reed there to help close it.
It was a very astute point you made earlier, Troy, where when you're coaching the game in any league, any level, when you're coaching defense, you want your players to focus on being aggressive, and you're okay with penalties of aggression, more so than penalties after the play is over and picking up some of those more chippy fouls that tend to happen.
Gregory, Sammons, Tolliver, the receivers for Tampa Bay. as Boltis finds Salmon for the score. Touchdown Tampa Bay, their first touchdown since late in the first quarter. A 4-yard strike.
It looks like Tampa Bay is trying to maneuver with a bit of tempo here, knowing that they have a lot of possessions to make up. See the frustration on the faces of T.T. Tolliver, Lawrence Samuels as they approach the bench area.
This was not how they wanted this evening to go, as Peterson misses the extra point. Well, if you want to eat an elephant, you can't do it all in one big swallow. You have to do it one bite at a time. Tampa Bay taking a bite out of the Sharks here. They're still down by 26. In the playoffs, they are edging closer and closer to achieving that goal. They're ahead 42-16 late in the third quarter. Meanwhile, Tampa Bay has a lot of work to do and not a lot of time to do it in. Expecting an onside kick here, Anthony?
I would if I were Lawrence Samuels, but the way they're setting up for Tampa Bay, it doesn't appear the onside is coming. But I think it's high time to at least attempt it.
Jacksonville has everybody up except Jonathan Haggerty, who's waiting back deep in the end zone. And it is an onside. Fielded by Hill. His head's out of bounds at the 14.
Okay, it's the right call for multiple reasons. They may not have recovered it, but now the ball's in a field position where it is more difficult for the offense once they start advancing it towards the 10-yard line and in the AFL red zone. And then even if you don't come up with the stop, you're at least getting the football back in the hands of your offense that much more quickly.
An offense that has been playing at a very high level all throughout this game. And they certainly had their struggles against Tampa Bay earlier this season, especially in the first meeting between these two, in which they managed only 28 points. Things got better for them in the second meeting. So far, no problems the third time around. And no problems whenever Grady finds Joe Hill. Touchdown Sharks. And the beat goes on here in Jacksonville.
Sharks fans know what's coming now.
Hill's leading the cheers. And why not?
They do it right here at Seabass Field, Troy. They're fans who are into it. They love winning football. They show up.
The extra point attempt is good. 7th touchdown of the night for the Sharks as they continue to steam on towards a playoff berth as they lead Tampa Bay 49-16.
Joe Hills now with the 3rd longest streak in Arena Football League history at 51 consecutive games with a touchdown reception.
And the first 34 of those games were with the Tampa Bay Storm.
Well, he took over from Jomo Wilson, who had the yes chant going for Jacksonville last year.
Meanwhile, Tampa Bay trying to find the right combination to at least make this a competitive game once again. And this obviously is not the kind of evening that Lawrence Samuels and the Storm were hoping for. Samuels wanted to establish urgency right from the start, establish a sense of desperation, noting with us this morning that they are already in playoff mode. And this is a team that has lost 3 straight coming into this building tonight, including a shocking result last week against New Orleans. And I'm not sure exactly what the worst case scenario may have been for Tampa Bay, but right now, this might be pretty close for the Storm. Kick is away. James turns. Washington goes from the bottom of the soft net. And they'll take the touchback. Take a look at the American Conference standings. Orlando and Philadelphia already in. Meanwhile, you've got 2 playoff spots up for grabs and 3 teams jockeying for them. Although that might become 1 playoff spot and 2 teams jockeying for them by the end of tonight.
Well, This game will not mathematically eliminate the Tampa Bay Storm, but it does make it tough sledding. But the Cleveland Gladiators have not played strong football in recent weeks either, a 4-game skid in Cleveland.
Bolt is back. Hits Tolliver. Immediately ridden down. Quick pickup of about 9 yards. Chris Smith with the stop.
You don't normally see a winning formula for a quarterback taking off and running very frequently in the AFL. He's not at a championship level, but Boltus is athletic enough where he's got the ability to hurt defenses with his legs. I'd like to see either more called runs or him just deciding to run more situational.
Meanwhile, Salmon takes the catch in traffic, bounces off the wall, and sets up the Storm inside the Jacksonville 15. A pickup of 21.
You see Tampa Bay on the move now. They're trying to get more tempo going, knowing they need to maximize possessions.
Boltus, the leading rusher for the Tampa Bay Storm. Salmon's undercut, hit immediately by Terrence Smith. Loses his helmet again, but gains another tackle. And that's not to say that mobile quarterbacks aren't unusual in the history of this league. A guy like Adrian McPherson certainly comes to mind. He was helping to change the game a bit earlier in his career.
Sharks fans experienced Bernard Morris for several years as their starter. Even Michael Bishop, the Kansas State starter, had rushing records.
And Greg Reed intercepts off the hands of Emery Salmon. And Reed scooting down to the Tampa Bay 15. It has been that kind of night for Jason Boltus and that kind of night for the Jacksonville Sharks.
The former Florida State Seminole, Greg Reed, a rookie in the Arena Football League, only 10 games into his AFL career. Already one of the league leaders in interceptions, nearly took this one to the house.
Start of the fourth quarter at Seabest Field, where the Jacksonville Sharks have a 49-16 lead over the Tampa Bay Storm. A lot of scoring, a lot of dancing for the folks in the red, white, and black. I'm surprised we haven't busted a couple moves up here so far tonight.
Well, my knees aren't what they used to be. There was some stanky leg going on in one of the commercial breaks. I have a hard time keeping up with some of those things. Now, Steve Pappen, on the other hand, he doesn't even do stanky.
You can kind of run. Good. Here's Grady back to pass. Swings it. And Jones. Gets down inside Tampa Bay territory to the 20. On a flag thrown back to the line of scrimmage. There was a holding call on Jacksonville, by the way, during the course
62
of that interception.
At the distance to the goal. Repeat first down.
So that's why the ball was placed deep in Jacksonville's own territory.
There were two Sharks receivers that ran into each other in the route tree, but that's not what the flag was on. It's there on the interior. The holding, pass protection from the Sharks.
Makes it 1st and 15. The ball now at the 5. Good. Haggerty in the game at wide receiver. And Ross busting loose. Rumbling down the sideline. Out of bounds at the 2. 43 yards for Derek Ross.
It starts with the blocking at the point of attack. But from there, the burst through the hole, looking like his Kansas City Chiefs days. The boss, straight out the gate. Picture yourself as a defensive back trying to bring down that 270-pound full head of steam.
I'm perfectly safe up here, thank you. Longest rush of the year for Derek Ross, 43 yards. Brady pumps. Backs up. Being chased. Flips it away.
There's a lot of big and very tired people after that last snap. The pass rush was minimal. The pass protection from Derrick Ross was not like his former self, let's say.
Not up to his usual standard, he's
Not
saying?
up to that usual Ross standard.
Heck, I'm tired just watching him on that last run.
Well, quite frequently, you know, what you see in the National Football League where there's more bodies on a roster. Someone gets tired after a long play like that, you shuttle him out, you bring other people back in. Not that ability in the Arena Football League.
Ross stopped here. Ran into a blue wall with Richard Kleebert leading the way.
That'll hurt the rushing total a bit.
He was at 60 before that play. His season high is 61 yards. He gained that against the LA Kiss earlier this season. Loss of 1 on the play. Makes it 3rd and goal from the 3.
Let's go, 51-10. Yeah, yep.
So see levels coming from the field side. Post up top.
Go!
In route coming short.
Done.
Brady flush. Throws. Lays it into the back of the end zone, incomplete.
That's good defense. Tampa Bay, we haven't seen it consistently throughout the game, but Tiger Jones was less than 5 yards deep in his route. He got knocked to the ground by a defensive back, as you're allowed to do. Well played by Randall Burton.
Storm defense trying to do something they have not done to this point this evening, and that is make a stop.
Go! Done.
On 4th and goal. Touchdown. Tiger Jones in the end zone again. This time from 3 yards out. And they're just dropping the Tampa Bay Storm right now.
You off the turnbuckle? The people's elbow from the Tiger.
The Sharks hitting the Storm.
I can't get enough of these guys.
These guys know what they're doing, don't they? High snap, handled by Lee Chapman. And the extra point handled as well. 56-16. Jacksonville over Tampa Bay. And they are just clubbing the Storm right now. Celebrations all the way around. There's the people's elbow. Only in the Arena Football League. Well, tonight on 4th down, Tampa Bay has not come through. Jacksonville has. 4th down completion to Tiger Jones. Another score for Jacksonville. They're up by 40 points. And when you're up by that much, you can do things like this.
Finish him.
And London Crawford goes in for the pin. Joe Hills with the count. Special assistance from Mo Keat Ruffins. Tiger Jones knows he's got it.
There's a few rules for things you can't do during a celebration in the Arena Football League, but the acronym All Fun League certainly showing itself in that moment.
Kickoff is away. Ings quiet on special teams tonight. Take this one from 6 yards deep. Hit hard. Taken down at the 12. Jacksonville not very good at the kick return unit, but let's head downstairs to Steve Pampin. And Tiger Jones has been very good in all things tonight.
Yeah, I'm with Tiger Jones. And you guys have been scoring at will. Tonight, you made it a little bit difficult on that, getting the 4th down. The play before, you kind of did like a whip route. That one, you went straight to the corner. Did you call that, or was that something you guys saw?
Well, when we ran it, we felt like it was open. We didn't have a play call, so we come back, hoping they give us the same coverage, so we call a different play off of that, and it was open.
Well, after your football career, you can be Dancing with the Stars, WWE, whatever you want. Explain the ritual you did, the celebration.
My Debbie hit it with a little people's elbow, off the ropes, rocks down, get everybody involved.
And for those at home that don't know, Tiger Jones also moonlights as WWE's Tiger. Appreciate it. Right now.
Tiger Jones in his 7th year out of Louisville. Previously with the Philadelphia Soul. 3 years before that, we saw some of his dance moves in a Soul uniform earlier in the show.
Well, Dwayne Johnson, if you're watching, grade that one out for the Tiger.
On 2nd down, Ing, nifty move. When the Tampa Bay Storm offense has been able to reach another level, Kendricks Ings has been right there, been a big reason for it. He had no catches against the Voodoo last week and has been relatively quiet in this one.
We go. Right, wide zoom, game screen to Z, already. Game screen.
Ings the motion man. Gregory at the bottom of your screen. T.T. Tolliver at the top. Quick pass to Gregory. Scoots down the sideline. Called out of bounds near the 20-yard line.
Nice block outside the numbers from Kendrick Ings. Bring his rookie teammate Julius Gregory. Gregory still showing a bit of fire here late in the game. But down 40 points, Tampa needs tempo. This would be one of the great comebacks in AFL history, but if there's any league where it's possible,
going right,
it's certainly
right,
this one.
No, yeah, left.
What was that comeback that Pittsburgh, the Power had a couple years ago against the Cleveland Gladiators, if my memory serves me correctly?
32, yeah. Hurry up.
I believe it was a 35-point comeback.
No.
Similar heroics necessary here for Tampa Bay as they dump it underneath to Alfred McCullough. He rumbles inside the 15. McCullough has one career touchdown, really ever. It came against Cleveland a couple years ago, but that was his first touchdown since middle school. Won't get in the end zone here, but it does move the chains for the Storm.
How about that dexterity, though? Would have made Nick Saban proud for his old Crimson Tide days. Looked painful.
He's holding it.
Well, he was balancing 330 pounds on a left wrist.
That's a simple physics right there. Tolliver can't hang on at the 5. Greg Reed with the coverage. Reed's been busy. The whole Sharks defense has been busy in this one.
Hot pass, right on the money from Boltis. A drop from T.T. Tolliver. That's not how you start the comeback.
Tolliver in his 13th year out of Bethune-Cookman. Deflected and incomplete. Joe Sykes reached up and swatted the pass away.
The AFL's version of J.J. Watt. He can do it all. He doesn't get home on the rush, gets his hands up in the passing lane, bats the ball away.
He sacks quarterbacks. He harasses quarterbacks. He swats passes away. It's been that kind of night for Joe Sykes. An all-around fine effort. And now 3rd down for Tampa Bay. Thrown behind Ings, incomplete. And here we go again. Tampa Bay facing 4th down. And this is where the Sharks defense has been at its best tonight. Boltis getting the word from Lawrence Sanders.
Trip left, X zoom, dig 3-8, down one, ready, 50.
Storm 0 for 4 on 4th down tonight.
Right across the face, just behind Alvin Ray Jackson.
Boltis in trouble. Down he goes. Sykes is there.
The ruling on the field is the quarterback is down by contact. 1st down.
There's the sack. And Joe Sykes with sack number 17 of the year. That is a new AFL single-season record.
All the teammates on both sides of the football surrounding Joe Sykes in celebration of yet another milestone. One of the great defensive players the Arena Football League has ever seen. Joe Sykes, the inside move, able to bring down the QB for the 17th time, now in the history books.
Coming into this game, Joe Sykes had more sacks than 4 AFL teams, adding to that total tonight and getting after Jason Boltis all throughout.
Joe Sykes has been able to provide both mental and physical pressure on the pocket. That last sack is the one that sets the new single-season record.
Well, Tommy Grady's evening is done. So Lee Chappell will start taking snaps for the Sharks. Chappell in the second year out of North Alabama has thrown 3 passes this year, 2 of them coming in the first meeting between Tampa Bay and Jacksonville. That was in garbage time as well. This one coming with the Sharks ahead by 40. Chappell to Haggerty. Touchdown. And all Les Miles can do is smile. "27 yards from Chappell to Haggerty."
The Shark Tank can smell the playoffs. Just over 4.5 minutes away. Camaraderie at an all-time high in the Jacksonville bench area.
The extra point is through. 63-13. The first 2 rounds didn't go their way, but tonight, this is Sharknado 3. Special thanks to those of you joining us here on Watch ESPN, and the ESPN News as well. Troy Clarity, Anthony Herron, and Steve Papin. Jacksonville Sharks. They've got a couple banners here at Seabest Field. Looking to try to add another one here at some point this year. At this rate, they will definitely get a playoff banner if this result holds up. Meanwhile, Kendrick Ings is on the loose, finally breaking free and getting to midfield. Let's head downstairs where Steve Papin will talk with Joe Sykes and a bit later on in the game. But Joe Sykes is a little busy right now as he's coming onto the field. I'm sure Pap was ready, though.
Oh, I was ready. I had him. It was funny, though, because he wanted to get his whole defense involved in the thing. He wanted his whole defense in the interview because he set the record, but without those guys, he wouldn't be able to do that. That was nice of him to try and get those guys involved, and they were all ready to party over here with me.
Now, Pap, you played the game when the Iron Man was still in vogue. When was the last time you remember actually having to tackle yourself?
Oh, goodness, I couldn't even tell you if I got one.
Greg Reed almost had a pick 6 off of Luke Collis, who's now in the game for Tampa Bay.
There's been a couple of opportunities for Reed in tonight's game. He came away with 1. Probably could have had at least 3 interceptions in the game. He closed the show last week against the Philadelphia Soul with 2 interceptions in the 4th quarter, took 1 back for a pick 6. That one was another where he was going to go Forrest Gump if he caught it.
He would have run forever. 2nd down and 10. Collis to the end zone. Overthrown, incomplete. Ings the intended receiver there.
We're going white all time.
Joe Sykes, the man of the hour, breaking his own single-season record in the sacks department.
At 16 back in 2012 with the San Jose SaberCats, and here, off the inside move, able to bring down Boltis.
And really, that play was doomed from the start because Boltis stumbled, got tangled up with one of his offensive linemen on his back pedal. Sykes able to finish it off. Deflected and intercepted. Larache Jackson comes down with it. Joe Sykes may have gotten a hand on it.
They finally switched up the pass protection, where Jamarcus Hardrick went outside on the slide protection to block Sykes, but he still got up and deflected the football away. This time it didn't harmlessly hit the ground. LJ, Larache Jackson, who was in the Arena Bowl with the Cleveland Gladiators last season, made the play.
That actually blinked off of Sykes' helmet. When you're hot, you're hot. Those are the kind of things that happen for you. And a good move, I think, by Sykes, too, by wanting his whole defensive teammates to speak as well, because really, even though Sykes has the spotlight right now, this has been a team effort defensively for the Sharks. And now let's go downstairs. Now that Sykes isn't busy right now, now let's head downstairs to Steve Pappas.
If you guys can see me in here with the group of guys, Joe Sykes, congratulations on setting the record tonight. You know, explain what it's like to play with these guys and to be able to set that record.
It means a lot. These guys, they've been holding it down for me all year. I want to congratulate my whole defense, helping me get the job done. I love you guys.
Being that you guys needed this game to get in the playoffs, was that some extra motivation for tonight, or was it more motivation that Tampa Bay had beaten you twice?
Yeah, man. I mean, we knew we could beat them twice. We just wanted to come out and show them who the best team was.
Well, you guys didn't know. I interviewed your head coach earlier, and I was talking about the game seeming to be out of reach. You guys look like you're heading for the playoffs. With the score what it is now, it looks like you guys can look forward to the playoffs. What's that mean to you guys after the start?
I mean, we just needed to win this game so we can get rolling and be a hot team going into the playoffs so we can have our momentum. And my defense playing great right now. So we just want to hang our hats on that and get ready for next week.
Thank you, gentlemen, the whole entire team effort tonight. Good luck. Congratulations.
We are at the 1 minute warning. Take a bow, Jacksonville Sharks defense. You've gotten after it all night long. Try to climb up the standings on ESPN News and watch ESPN. National Conference standings, Arizona on top of the West. San Jose, they've already unfurled their Pacific Division Championship banner. Both teams fighting for playoff positioning on the national side of things as well. Meanwhile, Tiger Jones fighting and getting a first down for Jacksonville. Here in the final minute of play here at Seabest Field.
Tampa Bay's defense gave up 13 points against the New Orleans Voodoo back in April. That's the lowest point total given up in the Arena Football League this season. If not for that, within 16 points would be right there as far as a single season high, or low for that matter, of a defense.
And what a complete and total role reversal this has been from the first time these teams met. When Tampa Bay just rolled out to a 63-28 win. Tonight, it's been all Sharks right from the start.
I'm really surprised by this from Troy. I mentioned the Jekyll and Hyde nature of both teams. We talked about it again at halftime when Pap joined us. But while Jacksonville's ceiling is the highest to me in the American Conference, Tampa Bay has so many playmakers, especially on defense. They've got a great quarterback. They've got depth at receiver. With this much on the line in tonight's game, I expected better from the Tampa Bay Storm.
And let's face it, that being said, I think this is the Jacksonville Sharks squad that most of us expected to see them come out with right out of the gate. Chappell lurches forward, gets positive yardage, the clock runs down, and the Sharks are playoff bound. It's a final. From start to finish, from wire to wire, Jacksonville dominates Tampa Bay, and they walk out of here tonight with a 63-16 win over the Tampa Bay Storm. Anthony, a tremendous win tonight for the Sharks, one that was very much needed for them to stay in this.
This is a team that people have had their eyes on throughout the season, in the Jacksonville Sharks, thinking they could challenge the Arizona Rattlers, the San Jose SaberCats, with the depth and talent in this lineup. Now we know for sure they will have their shot in postseason play.
So perhaps a statement win tonight for the Jacksonville Sharks, as they absolutely dominated from start to finish, offensively, defensively. Joe Sykes getting after the quarterback, The secondary doing its thing as well. It all adds up to a dominating win for Jacksonville. Our final score here tonight, Jacksonville 63, Tampa Bay 16. Don't forget, more arena football action coming your way tomorrow night on ESPN News at 6 p.m. LA Kiss versus the Arizona Rattlers. For Anthony Herron and Steve Tappan, I'm Troy Clarity. Good night from Jacksonville. Sports Center is straight ahead.